J-U-1. Oh, yes. My boy, J-U-1. J-U-1. Coming through. Five Guys for Your Eyes from July. Even that rhymes. Welcome back. This is week 3.5 right now. It's halftime adjustments, answers with guests. I'm Guess. Welcome to Answers by Guess. Season 8. This is episode 6. Pretty good week. So tonight's show should be relatively short and sweet. Had a long day, long night, got a long morning tomorrow. I want to get through this. A lot of good calls, a lot of good stuff. Everybody's talking about waiver wire pickups, ESPN, CBS, Fantasy Pros, all the guys that get paid to do it. These names were given to you in July. Juwan Jennings, Jalen Naylor, Xavier Legette. You got to stick with us, man. Got to stick with us. So, let's see what we got here. Switch this background around. There we go. Episode 6. Let's get to it. Enough is enough. What do I mean by that? Well, tonight we're going to take a little bit of a turn, right? This is Five Guys for Your Eyes, but I got a surprise. This is Five Guys to Despise. These are the guys, I'm not even trying to be Dr. Seuss here, but these are the guys that I've sort of highlighted 5 of them that we are all probably sick of, but we're sort of stuck with them. Some maybe more than others. Feelings are probably mutual. Number 1, Zamir White. I'm going reverse order because this is a bad countdown list. We said last week if he couldn't get it done against the Panthers, he probably isn't going to get it done. He's not look good, but you can't cut him because running backs are gold. Sooner or later, he's going to have a game probably as soon as he gets cut, probably after this week. The majority of people, if they haven't let go, every league's different. It's like we talk about every single week, right? When people ask pickup questions, waiver questions, this is waiver night. Every league is so vastly different. So that's why it's always important, and it's about who are you dropping. Well, a lot of people probably play in shallow leagues. Zamir White's probably been sitting out there for a couple of weeks now. If you're in a deeper league, you still got to hold him, and it stinks. So just despise him for now. Number 2, Michael Pittman. And it's not really his fault. Anthony Richardson hasn't looked good. Could have easily put him on this list. But what do? You got to clog up a roster spot with him. He's a guy to despise at the moment. You can't dispose of him, but you can despise him. Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, this is on the Saturday night show. Rob and I were talking about Amari Cooper's Butterfingers. Well, he's showing the very first play of the game. He must have cleaned his hands. Brandon Ayuk can't catch a ball now all of a sudden. And that led way for Mr. J.U.1. My boy. DeAndre Swift. A big part of this is the Chicago offensive line. It's terrible. It's terrible. But I talked about on the Saturday show, I was like, I got a feeling Roschon Johnson is probably going to start getting some burn. He looked pretty good, so we'll see what goes on with that. He can't be on the Five Guys for Your Eyes, Roschon Johnson. The reason for that is because I had him on the list in July. DeAndre Swift is a 5 guy to despise. And Trevor Lawrence just looks absolutely pitiful. I think he might be officially worse than Daniel Jones now. Luckily, he got Christian Kirk going last night, so that was nice to see. That was another good call. by us on the Saturday show. If you did not tune in to the Saturday show, listen, we're going to do Saturday shows, especially once these London games start. Watch them on Sunday if you can't catch them late Saturday night. That's where a lot of the good information is. Answers with Gas Week 3.5. Let's get right into it. Like I said before, the ebbs and flows will be prevalent. And boy, were they ever. Guys that did nothing the first week or two blew up week 3. Guys that were really good week 1 starting to come down to earth. Rashid Shaheed and some of these guys. 'Twas the night before week 3, and all through the league, everybody was wondering, where are the TDs? Well, they showed up this week. Look at these guys. We've been waiting. They showed up. It's the ebbs and flows. It's the oldest story in the fantasy book. 8 seasons we've been doing this. That was one of the first things that we popped on the scene talking about. That's how you have to adjust. Juwan Jennings, spelled Juwan. So that's what I'm going to call him because he's my boy. I feel like I was a fan of his before anybody. Last year, if not 2 years ago. He's going to be the number 1 pickup this week. People chasing last week's points. I'm not saying that because I haven't gone into my analytics so far for week 4, but people are going to be chasing those points. Those points are gone. Those points are gone. We told you about Jennings in July. We told you Debo would get hurt. Everybody knew Ayuk was sitting out. Debo gets hurt all the time now. Misses multiple games. It was just a matter of time. So you have to be ahead of the curve because the ebbs and flows are real. His ebb was up. And that was last week. I hope he continues it. He's a very solid wide receiver 3 on this team that fills into the wide receiver 2 role and performs like a wide receiver 1, as we saw last week. But if we're picking him up and thinking we're going to get even half of that every week, we're probably going to be sadly mistaken. Brock Purdy's hurt too. Say whatever you want about him. I have over the past couple of years. But it's going to be a backup, more than likely. Stroud, 1. That was week 1. Sophomore slump, 1. That was last week. And that was his week 2. He didn't look great in that week 2 game. I'm going to keep this going all year because I did say CJ Stroud would be having a sophomore slump this year. I have a feeling. Not really right nor wrong at this point. Tank Dell, he was my big call for the week. Thought he would have a big ebb. Towards the end of the game, he was hot. He got hurt a little bit. We'll see. 2024 call. How about those Eagles? I said it Saturday night. Rob was talking about he led into the game when we got up to this game, and the Eagles just don't look right. He was saying Saints look like a world beater. He was saying, what is this going to look like? And first thing I said to him, I said, that's exactly why Philly's going to win this game. I said, I guarantee the majority of the money is on the Saints. Smart money is on the Eagles. I said, what they need to do is stop Kamara, put a safety deep to stop Shaheed. That's exactly what they did. And the Eagles won. Goddard's another one. Last week he scored, 20-something points. He's going to go into lineups this week. And if A.J. Brown comes back, we'll see if he does. And if Devonta Smith isn't too hurt, the people that had him on their bench last week are going to put him in the lineup, and they might be upset. It's the ebbs and flows. We can't just chase last week. But he could be fine because he's good. But we're 18-9 so far in the year. That's right at that 67%. That's pretty good. We give out these plays sometimes in a post in the group on Facebook. Sometimes it's on the shows. So you got to tune in. Just going to leave this here. This was from week 1. And you lose at home to the Giants after getting spotted 7 points on the first play of the game. Well, first play was the Giants fumbled. Second play, they scored a touchdown. They're up 7-0. Somehow they score 8 more points the entire game and lose. I don't know what's going on with the Browns. I don't know. 5 guys for your eyes. It's hard to see. I can barely see it. Hopefully you can. These are some of our calls. Most of these were in July when we did our preseason preview. Jaden Daniels, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jalen Tolbert, George Pickens, Zach Charbonnet, Carson Steele, Demarcus Robinson, Isaiah Likely, Jonathan Mingo. Jonathan Mingo is really what it was Carolina receivers, because if you watch that video when we did the NFC South, I said Adam Thielen is not going to make it very long. Something's going to happen. He's going to get knocked out. And Mingo or Leggett, and at the time I said, or Terrace Marshall is going to get bumped up and be prominent. Well, guess what? They got Dalton in there. Thielen's going to be out a while. And Xavier Leggett, I feel like this week is going to get a nice bump, and or Mingo. Seattle defense, they've been killing it. Tank, J.U.1, Bucky. And I feel like Roshan's coming on. So I put him on this list. Let's get into the week 3.5, 5 guys for your eyes. Number 5, Packers defense. They look good. It is Tuesday, but I have this feeling in my gut. And a lot of times when it's the Packers, I'll say that I don't know if it's my heart or my head. I feel like this is my head. Why? Because the ebb of Sam Darnold is up here. We've seen relatively good, maybe not this good, Sam Darnold in the past. And we've seen the bad Sam Darnold. I got a feeling they're going up against Green Bay next week. And this Green Bay defense looks good. The Vikings are undefeated. And I think the Packers defense is going to show up and show out and beat the Vikings. I feel it on a Tuesday. I think it's more of my head than my heart. You can never be too sure. But I'll say it when I got a bad feeling about the Packers. Now, the one thing that gives me pause a little bit is I feel like everybody rose up when Malik Willis played his first game. I think everybody rose up further last week because Malik Willis was going against his old team. Jordan Love's going to come back more than likely next week. Will that be of a little bit of an exhale for Green Bay? I hope not. But if they keep playing with the type of heart and tenacity, I like them to make Sam Darnold look like the Sam Darnold we all know. So I like them for this week and moving forward. Remember, 5 guys for your eyes are not just for this week. Because as I said, a lot of those names I just gave you, we gave you them in July, beginning of July. Number 4, Miles Sanders. Reason he is on this list, I think he's going to get traded. I think he's going to get traded to Dallas or maybe KC, because I don't see Pacheco coming back. I don't think Kareem Hunt is going to be the answer. He didn't look great last season. I feel like he's going to move somewhere. I feel like he's somebody to pick up and to just hold on to if you got a spot you've sort of been playing with on your roster. Because if and when he gets traded, a week or two after that, I feel like he could provide some juice to that team and possibly your fantasy team. Calvin Austin, I wrote him off. He's my boy from last year. I wrote him off. Last week, I said the Calvin Austin experiment, I guess maybe isn't going to go as I thought it was going to go. And then what does he do? Scores a 55-yard touchdown. And then some. So he's worth a shot because Roman Wilson was able to play last week and they kept him inactive. And Calvin Austin may have just held on. Unless they sort of put Roman, but he sort of plays the same position. But unless they put him in that 2, it might just continue this way. So he is a guy to put your eyes on. Number 2, Ricky Pearsall. Everybody knows his name. This is a little bit of a layup. But he's getting ready to return. Probably next week. Not week 4, week 5. And when he does, and Debo's still out, that's that third wide receiver that they need, especially with Kittle being banged up. Again, the problem here is going to be Purdy. How hurt is he? We'll see how the week goes. And number 1, Rashad Bateman. I talked about him on Saturday as well. Listen, the yardage is not good, but he is seemingly the number 1 option for Lamar if and when Lamar throws the ball. And I noticed that he's out on the waiver wire in 3 of my 5 leagues, and all five of those leagues are relatively deep. So that probably means that if you're playing in a 10 or a 12 team, I would almost guarantee he's out there if you need a wide receiver. He's good depth, especially with bye weeks starting in week 5. Thursday night football, Dallas at Giants. I only put one player up there. It's Jalen Tolbert because he was a 5 guy for your eye, and he continues to produce. So I'm interested to see how he looks. Dallas desperately needs a win. Giants finally got one. Listen, Dallas should win this game, but this is turning out to be another fun, crazy season. So, you play your main guys. I'm fine with a Jalen Tolbert play. Obviously, CD, Ferguson, and for the Giants, if you need to, Singletary, I guess, and look at Malik Neighbors, number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. Love to see it. Questions from the group? We got none. Questions here? We got none. Perfect. 17-minute show. I don't mean to leave quick or blow through this quickly on you. I just feel like Saturday night, Rob and I had discussions about the game, about how we felt like things were going to go, who was going to bounce back, who was going to take a step back. The calls were on point in week 3. And the main guys that are being picked up on waivers across the globe, we had said that these are guys that you're going to want to have your eye on at the very least months ago, 2 months ago at least. So with a Thursday night game of Dallas, who at this point almost looks worse, although they did come back against Baltimore. Baltimore letting games sort of slip away from them at the end, which is kind of scary for them. But they kind of look worse than the Giants. It's like this could end up being a 13-9 game. It could end up being something in the 30s. Put your main guys in. Jalen Tolbert, if you need. Wan'Dale Robinson would be on the same level as him. Ferguson. Singletary, if you must. It's really just a game to enjoy. The show this week will probably be Saturday night. Stay posted. I didn't promote this one too much because, like I said, very long and busy day today. Very long and busy night leading up to this. I got a busy morning tomorrow, so I want to get to bed. Don't mean to cut you short, but this is Answers with Guests, Answers by Guests, the inside scoop from outside the box. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube, like, and share all of our posts. This will be on Spotify once Rob gets a minute to do so, I'm sure. We appreciate and love all of you. We got a couple new members this week. One of them is a guy that I don't really know personally, but I've been in communication through cards over the past couple of years, so I welcome him. And hopefully your teams won this week. If you are 1-2, if you are 0-3, you are still alive. Stick with us. We'll get through it. We love you. Have a good night.